Hey, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me, Reza.
Oh, you're
Um,
welcome. Good to see you again, Kim. It's been a
yes.
while.
So Reza is the broker relations manager for Fiskard, and he has been in this industry for 23 years and 5 years with Fiskard. And what we're going to talk about today is the scenario where you've helped a client buy a place finally, but unfortunately their home is not selling. And
Mhm.
obviously, this is case by case, but what I've asked residents to do is to comment on a case where you have a client with good credit, you have a client with lots of equity between the two properties. The problem is they don't have enough income to qualify with an institutional lender to carry both properties indefinitely. So they're looking for a firm sale on the property that they still own that they don't intend to keep. They're moving into a different property. So they need some short-term financing because let's say right now it's May 16th. Let's say they're closing first week of June, end of first week of June. And so they need to close on this new property, but they haven't sold their property. So institutional lenders are like, no way, can't do it. So that's when we
Mhm.
end up calling you, Reza, sending you applications. So I just wanted to
Sure.
give real estate agents an idea of what that could look like.
Yeah, for sure, Kim. And just a little bit of background, if you don't mind, as
Yes, please.
well. And you hit it on the head here with institutional lenders, and we like to call them bank lenders, and some non-traditional bank lenders as well require a firm sale. And we know right now, especially in the shifting market that we're seeing, Fiskard's seeing a lot more of these type of applications come through to us. And just a little bit about Fiskard for your audience, just to distinguish who we are. We're not an individual investor private lender. We're a MIC, so a mortgage investment corporation, and we lend from Ontario to BC. So we're a bigger sort of institutional, but not individual private lender in that respect. And I just wanted to make sure that was clear for your audience as well. But yeah, to get back to your question and your scenario, we're coming across a lot, and I get these calls every day where the client has either gone to their own institution or they've engaged a broker like yourself who's trying to do the best thing for them and taking them to a financial institution, a bank lender, to get the best rates and everything else. However, as you mentioned, when it comes to that purchase and sale scenario, the banks want to see a firm sale, including your institutional B lenders, your alternative lenders. So that's a pretty wide scope of the lending market that requires a firm sale. The On this side of the business, in the private lending, the alternative private lending world, the nice thing is, as Fiskard's concerned, we don't require a firm sale on the client's existing property. So typically, how we handle that, whether you have gone and have been able to get an approval with a first mortgage lender on the new purchase or not, that's okay. We can still, as long as there's enough equity in their current property, we can still pull that equity out to get them the balance. So that's one scenario. So I'll repeat that. You've established an approval at an institutional lender, a bank, let's say, to finance 80% financing on the new purchase. The client needs that extra 20%, and they need it out of their existing property. The only way to do that is, in this case, put a second mortgage in place to pull that equity out and allow them to close the new purchase. That's scenario one. Scenario two would be, and we come across this a lot, where the client's been shopping around and they cannot secure financing at an A lender or even a traditional B lender, alternative lender. Now they're stuck and they have no financing arranged for their new purchase. That's okay. So the way we would handle that is we would look at the maximum we can lend on the new purchase, and the balance will tag their existing property, blanket both properties, and pull the equity out. So they're going in, let's say they gave the builder $50,000 down on a $500,000 purchase, then we can grab the rest and finance them out. Once that's closed, let's say the scenario is their current property is still up for sale, hasn't sold yet, but when it does sell and closes, that equity is directed to pay us off. And in a lot of cases, it pays us off in full. In some cases, there's only enough equity to pay us down, and the client carries a small balance with us, unless you, as their mortgage broker, can find a solution, finance them out to the bank side or the institutional B lenders and get them into some better financing scenarios that way. So that's how we handle it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And it's taking about 3 weeks from application to close right now, right?
Right now, it's an extremely busy period of time, believe it or not. We're the flow of applications that we're seeing. Every file, it's not as cookie cutter as it used to be, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
So every file requires a little bit more work and effort going into the approval process and document collection, whatever that's required. Yeah, on average, I would say anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks. There are some institutions that can close faster than that, but on average, you're looking at a 10 business day process.
If it's today, and who knows what tomorrow will be, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's again, we're entering a time right now. Well, obviously the spring market's here. There's a lot more listings on the market, but everyone's scared. No one knows what's going to happen with the rates and the market in general.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, even from a lender perspective, your partners that you deal with, believe it or not, we're entering now into the spring summer holiday season as well.
What?
So now, yeah, believe it or not. So not necessarily
cold.
Right. People are going to places that are not cold.
Oh, okay. I got to get back on my Facebook, see what people are.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting now, because now, although we're seeing that busy time in the market, you're also going to start seeing a little bit of skeleton staff starting to creep into the picture as well. Mm-hmm. So that that impacts turnaround time and not necessarily service levels in general. For us, we're usually about a 24 to 48 hour turnaround time from the time you send an application to us for our underwriting team to reach back out to you. I can only speak for us. I can't speak for the rest of the institutions. Everyone has different volumes that they're dealing with, and also different processes that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised your rates haven't gone up.
Not significantly. We did increase. I think it was the last or the second last rate increase from the Bank of Canada. We increased slightly, more on the top level loan to value range. So your 70-75 range, mm-hmm. and our 80-85 range as well. We did increase that slightly. The lower end, so from 0 to 65% loan to value, we did increase that a little bit more. But in the grand scheme of things, really, we kind of brought it in line with where the market should be anyways. We've always been right around there. So, on the private lending side, you should be, again, for your audience, you should realize anywhere between minimum 7.99, 7.5 to 7.99, mm-hmm. all in, meaning rate and fee. That's on the bottom end for first mortgages. On the top end, it could go higher, but I'll cut it off at what I've seen, 12 to 13 all in. Just depends on the quality of the file itself, the client, the location, the property type. Yeah. That all comes into play. Yeah. So
everyone wants answers, but you have to send it in and wait till it's on that commitment, and then
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard for me. I get the same type of calls where it's like, "What's your best rate?" and my answer back is,
should I just quote something?
Yeah, I know. I can't give you a specific rate. I can give you a range
Yeah.
for sure, that you can work within with your clients, but I can't give you a specific rate until I actually see or understand some details behind it. And those things are centered around, on our side of the business, location first. As to whether we're even going to entertain the file.
Right.
All right, because the asset is the only thing we have.
Yeah.
Unlike the banks, the asset's super, super important, but they're also looking at, when you present a file to a bank lender or an A-side lender, you're really focused on the client and the quality of the client and covenant. And then we talk about the property, their stuff is insured. So the lender is protected. On our side of the business, it's not the case. So we really zone in on the location and the property first. Those are the first two things I want to know about to determine, number one, are we interested? Number two, what's the loan to value we're willing to lend based on the location?
Right.
Then we'll talk about the client, the quality of the client, the exit strategy is very important as well. So because we're not deposit takers in the sense of the institutional lenders that have that constant flow of funds that they then utilize in other areas. The private and MIC lending space is completely different than that.
Yeah, it's staying on your books.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know one reason why I love dealing with Fiskard is that you're completely open. So once that exit strategy is pretty much the first thing I talk about when we get into this kind of lending. Okay, sure, we can get in, but how do we get out? And so one thing that I loved about something that you sent out and that I made a blog post out of is it was something like 9 or 10 things to ask your private lender, because people can get whammoed going out of these. And with Fiskard, you're completely open. So you can get all focused on rate and then end up.
What, do you want the best deal going in, or do you want the best deal going out?
Exactly.
Sometimes the best deal going in is not the best scenario for the client, when either they're ready to exit early within the term, or potentially renew as well and go into a second term. Very, very important to understand all the costs centered around those timelines. For us, on our 1-year open term, what we're looking for is a minimum of 60 days of interest. So simply put, after the first 60 days of the term, it is fully open. The client can pay with no interest penalties. Now, I know we're talking about bridge financing here. What I just described is our regular purchase refi scenario, first or second mortgages, whether it's on a rental property or an owner occupied. With bridge financing, our terms are slightly different, where our interest rates range anywhere between 6.99 to 7.99 currently. And we do charge a 1% lender fee, but it is open because we understand it's short-term financing. It could be paid off in 15 days. It could be paid off in 60 or 90 days. The client is out with us. There are no other penalties associated.
Great. So thank you so much for taking the time. I love your frank and fair approach at just telling us what it is. And I look forward to doing business soon.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's always great hearing from you. And we look forward to doing more business with you as well.
Okay, talk soon.
Thanks, Kim. Bye.